Big up to the boys, Fox and Shane. Set your minds free, no locks and chains. Do what you love, roll the dice. 50-50, we cold as ice. One thing cold, but a pretty turn red. Can't let that shit go in my head, war gaming.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to Hobby Homies. We are your weekly tabletop podcast. I'm Shane. As always, I'm hanging out with Fox.
Yes, sir.
And of course, we've got Churchy.
In the void.
Today we are talking about one of the things we like to call Chill Week, which is when we don't do any podcast stuff
I know.
and we play a game.
I know.
It's so good, right?
Yeah, it's good. It is good. We could never fathom a universe where somehow we're still doing a podcast every single week and then 2 or 3 battle reports a month. And then also on top of that, not even using one of the weeks for those things.
We have a spare week.
And we've been using that to play RPGs.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Yeah.
Who made all these extra weeks?
I don't know. Somehow there's 5 weeks in a month now.
Yeah, I love it.
It's great.
So last time we played Wild Sea.
Yeah, you
For Chill
DM'd
Week.
us through a Wild Sea.
That's right. I was the Firefly, they call it in that game.
Yep.
Everyone's got their own little twisty twist.
Yeah.
But this time you DM'd us through Call of Cthulhu.
I was
hence
the
book.
keeper of arcane lore.
Yeah. Oh, that's why it says Keeper's Rulebook. I thought whoever buys it gets to keep it. Why would you name it that?
I understand.
Yeah.
I understand.
Well, that's because you're the keeper. So
Yeah.
you have always had a strange affinity for this strange world.
A very, very strange world.
Yeah, we were just talking before that your next sleeve, your next ink needs to be Call of Cthulhu-esque.
I'm sure I can make it happen at least one spot.
So we'll be talking about our RPG adventure, our one-shot
Yep.
that we did with us, Churchy, and Rory, who's not here.
You gestured to an empty chair.
Yeah, that's very Cthulhu-esque.
Yeah, true.
Is it empty?
Well.
I don't know. But going back to what we're talking about, draft your tattoo, your ink on your arm right now for me.
Man, I don't do it. I just get Dylan to do it for me.
Yeah.
I just say, I want something like this. And he's like, yep, cool, I'll draw something.
If you went to him and said, I want like a whole Cthulhu-inspired sleeve,
I don't know if I'll do a whole sleeve.
you wouldn't do a whole sleeve.
I reckon I'll keep with the nautical theme, which works well for Cthulhu,
It does,
right?
yeah.
I reckon I'll do like one, so for those listening, my tattoos are just like stickers. It's not like a proper sleeve. But I'd probably just do like one sticker, Cthulhu inspired.
You could
Yeah.
do the like when the boat crashes into Cthulhu, like it's in one of the stories
Oh yeah,
where there's some guys on a boat on like a fishing boat, and they crash into Cthulhu's head or something, I think, and then he like goes back under the water.
yeah.
That's
Something
cool.
like that. It's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, it is terrifying.
Yeah,
That's a great point. You are very stick it up. Your arms look like the fridge behind me.
Yeah, you're getting there.
You're getting there. Although that feels like a sleeve though, because it's also
Yeah, because
themed.
they're all like close together, I suppose.
Yeah. What's the difference between stickers and a sleeve?
Well, a sleeve would have like background, like all like it doesn't have
Like
to.
a connection.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, or some kind of something tied it all together. Where this is kind of like just everything just like placed to fit around each other.
Yeah. I wonder if there's people listening to us right now that have never seen what we look like.
It's possible, you know.
Yeah.
Considering how many views we get on YouTube versus how many listens we get on the audio side of things,
Yeah. Spotify mostly.
Spotify mostly.
Yeah.
I would say there is someone out there who has never seen our face.
Wow. Lucky them, mate.
Yeah, lucky them.
So let's talk about the thing you did.
Yeah, the one shot.
The one shot.
So I took a leaf out of your book and I was actually talking to you about it prior, and I'm like, I don't know if I should run an existing campaign.
Yeah.
Which I've got several of, this like little loose ones that come in like different kinds of things. Or make my own. And you're like, make your own. And I'm like, no, I'll try.
Yeah. I think the reason cool scene that you've set behind us, by the way, with the candles.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
kind of what we walked into when we walked into this room and you'd set it Cthulhu-esque. There was dark green lights, candles, real candles in the middle of the table.
Yeah,
as a
what
centerpiece.
happened to them?
I think they're still intact as they were. I mean, why would they be anything other than intact?
Because Rory and Churchy were playing with
That's right. We let the children play with the candles.
The children played with the open flame.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it is a cool scene. But
Yeah.
the reason I found it easier to do it that way, and the reason I suggested it is because I feel like with the campaigns that they write for you, or the little one-shots that they write for you, they include a lot of stuff that means you need to know the rules for those things.
Yeah, that's true. Yep.
Whereas when you write your own campaign, you can make it just to the level that you know the game.
Yep.
Which can be 0.
Yep. And yeah, it actually can be 0.
Yeah.
Like I read through the rule book several times, not entirely.
Yeah.
I flipped through it
Yeah,
several
it's quite
times.
big. I see that this is actually only like 10 pages in, but keep talking your talk.
That's actually the character creation part. When I had to make 5 different characters or
Yeah.
something stupid. I just decided, all right, cool. So I took inspiration from The Shadow over Innsmouth, one of
Yep.
the stories, one of the novellas. It's like a short story kind of thing.
Sure. Is that what novella means? Like a short story?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Or is that just like a hipster's way of saying novel?
No, novella's a thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like novella's a thing like a strong almond latte, half strength.
I don't want to be associated with that.
That's me. That's my order. Except for the half strength. It's strong.
So inspired by that. So started off with you guys on like a ferry
Yeah.
heading from New York City overnight to Newburyport.
Yep.
And then like I'll let you guys introduce your characters. And it was the start I found a little bit hard to like kick off.
Sure.
I don't really know how I would do it differently. And also you guys being unfamiliar with the characters, I suppose, was probably like another thing too.
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose like because we were on the ship and you're like, you're sitting together. This is a good opportunity to introduce your characters, which we did poorly, but we did it. We had a go. And then I think we did a better job later, Churchy, when Rory's character walked off and was doing its own thing, her own thing. And then we finally got to actually introduce our characters properly.
Yeah. You guys had also half introduced your characters like before the game even started.
Yeah.
I remember hearing Churchy going like, I am Gustav,
Yep.
whatever his name was, and talking about all that. And I'm like, God, I should have asked you guys to hold off on that.
Yeah, true.
Because I think it would have made like a more of an organic like introduction, right?
Yeah.
Like, but doesn't matter.
And I suppose like it was cool. It was a nice change of scene, like being on a ship, getting ferried across to your destination, as opposed to the inside of a tavern, which is where we start all of our adventures.
I think every adventure starts at a tavern, really.
And this was a pseudo tavern, except we had pickled herring instead. So,
Indeed.
which we all hated at the start, but learned to love.
Yes.
So yeah, then we finally ferried across to what was it called?
Newburyport.
Newburyport. But did we meet an individual on the ferry that told us? Oh, we had telegrams.
Yeah.
That essentially was calling us individually.
So you all received the same telegram.
Yeah.
You guys were unfamiliar to each other at the start. You're all seated together in the dining hall of the SS Main.
Yeah.
And then I had this. You guys were sort of summoned by the same telegram that you received.
And we discovered that on the ship together. I forget how we tied it in, but basically one of us said, "Oh, what are you going? Oh, I'm going to this place
Yeah.
called the Run and Gun, or what was it called?
The Dog and Gun.
Dog and Gun.
Yeah.
That's right. We're going to this place called the Dog and Gun. And they're like, "Oh, what are you going there for?"
Yeah.
"Oh, just because I've been called and they've got a job there."
Yeah.
And then we all sort of patch on. We're like, we all got the exact same telegram. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
And then we had Martin come over and talk to you guys.
Yeah.
He was a late addition because I was reading through it and I was like, how do I give you guys the spark, the incentive? Like,
Yeah.
that was what I was trying to find. It was like that first hook,
Yeah.
give you guys a reason that you were there. And then I was like, well, okay, what if like some kind of like mysterious man approaches you and greets you all by name,
Yeah.
who you don't know him, but he
Yeah.
knows you, kind of thing.
Yeah, it's good.
So then I was like, all right, so I'll have him come up and sort of semi-explain like what's going on, but
Yeah.
not allude to too much.
Yeah.
Um,
He didn't really. It was basically like, this person needs to see you at this place for reasons I cannot explain.
yeah.
Like, oh, okay. Well, that's where we're going then.
Yep.
I was surprised that when we landed and we saw people ferrying stuff out. Because I think the idea was like, as we got there, we noticed a large amount of people packing up the ship to head back to New York,
Yep.
which was uncommon.
Yep.
And even our characters could recognize that was uncommon. And we asked some dock workers now basically like, we're so busy.
Yeah.
We don't have time to talk to you. There's lots of stuff going back to New York. What do you want us to tell you?
Yeah. That's because you failed your spot hidden and your persuade rolls.
Yeah. We didn't spot anything hidden.
Yeah,
everything,
no.
everything.
The spot hidden would have been something like the shipping label on the boxes, like a from and to sort of thing.
Yeah.
I was trying to allude to that. But then, yeah, so you guys sort of did that, and then you guys got barged through by a strange man who spilled his briefcase everywhere,
Oh, yes.
papers all over the place.
Yep.
Um,
And Churchy spotted something.
yeah, he spotted a photograph in amongst all of his mess, a photograph of a unknown relic, a strange kind of like tiara headdress kind of thing.
Yep. And he was muttering something to himself. What was it, Churchy? Do you remember?
Church needs to unmute his microphone. There
I
we go.
think I was, I just do that for better audio clarity. But I think if I recall, he was saying something about it needs to go back or we need to give it back or
Yeah.
something.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I
it
was
was
too
exactly
busy
that.
being like, oh, I think this tiara would look very good on
Yeah.
Violet or whatever.
Yeah,
her name
yeah,
was.
that's
Yeah.
right. Because you were desperate.
Yeah, 'cause my character was desperate.
That was one of your character traits.
He wasn't
Rory's
desperate
character
for a
was
sexual
fine.
partner.
No,
was
he
just
wasn't.
like,
He was
yeah,
just
yeah.
desperate. So eventually, he was in a pickle
Exactly.
with his finances, so he took the job, even though
Yeah.
he was an engineer, and it became a running.
I had a whole
of my
side quest
character
that I
being like,
didn't get to
Why
develop.
am I here? What am I doing here?
I know.
He sounded German.
I know.
Swedish. But
On the border. Yeah, I had a whole side quest planned for like each of your guys, but I was so underprepared.
Sure.
Like, you guys had flown in the first hour. My material was done. The rest of that was just on the fly.
Yeah.
It was, and it probably, I don't know if it felt that way or not, but far out. The whole museum thing was like improv.
Yep.
The bus ride there was improv. I wanted you to get on the bus, but at a different stage.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fuck, they've done everything they can do in Newburyport. Time to put them on the bus.
yeah. We basically went. We were like, oh, we need to go to the. We were surprisingly efficient. We were like, okay, we need to go to the Dog and Gun, so we'll go straight there.
Yeah.
We need to find the bloke. Oh, there he is. We need to. All right, he wants us to steal stuff from the museum. Well, not steal stuff.
Steal, investigate.
He wants us to go to investigate to the museum where people have been. His previous colleagues have been disappearing or returning not quite the same as when they left.
I don't know if you realised, but the guy that you ran into, or that ran into you, was one of his previous
There you go.
employees.
Sure.
I don't know if you guys made that connection or not.
No, we didn't. He could have been anyone. He could have been any crazy tiara loving individual. Could have been an old museum worker for all we cared.
True.
He had information for us, and to us, beyond that, he was dead to us. He might as well have not existed.
I wanted to you you guys made the spot hidden roll to actually see the photograph in his belongings, but I had like what would happen if you passed the roll and what would happen if you failed the roll.
Sure.
The fail roll would have been a little bit more like aggressive. I think he would have like lashed out at like one of you. I had a whole thing where like, so instead of like, because Churchy kind of like just picked the photo up and started looking at it, like while old mate's like packing up his stuff.
Yeah.
I sort of had it more like, you don't notice the photo, but you start helping him, and then he just like snaps
Yeah, sure.
and like starts screaming at you, and
yeah.
but that was fun making that like different, like, you know, which path it could go.
Yeah.
I just didn't get to like extrapolate on that for like anything else.
Yeah. And it's the fun part about being a DM is like the improv and trying to think on your feet.
Yeah.
Because you can have a plan, but you might as well just like everyone has a plan till they get punched in the mouth.
Yeah.
And as a DM, you're just constantly getting punched in the mouth
Yep.
by your players.
Yeah.
So we got to Newbury. What is it again?
Newburyport.
I can never say it.
Yeah.
I can never remember it. Anyway, Newburyport.
Yep. That's it.
Newberrysport.
Newburyport. Yep.
Newburyport. So we get there. We go to the Dog and Gun. We see that this is the man. He wants us to go investigate the place where the crazy man with the briefcase came from.
Yep.
The museum.
Yep.
Which is a new exhibit in town.
Yep.
And it's moved out all of its old exhibit.
Yep.
So we go there, and we go up to the thing and we buy tickets, and we walk into the museum.
Then
However,
Rory came into the mix.
when you're playing an RPG with Rory, things don't go like that. So what did he walk up and say?
He walks up to him. Now I'm going to sort of self-censor this.
Sure.
He walks up to him and says, "What the F are you doing, C?"
Oh yeah, to the person selling tickets.
Just sitting there behind the counter selling tickets.
Yeah.
I wanted to say just before as well, I feel like Rory forced things in a certain direction and made us like
Yep.
speed run it almost.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah.
But not speed running it in the probably the direction that Shane had.
No.
It's speed running it in a new direction. So not only do you have to like think on the fly, but you have to think on the fly quick.
Yep. Yep.
Because things are moving quick. Because no sooner
Yeah.
because then he pushed the roll, didn't he? He
Yeah.
used his intimidation to try and get into the museum or something.
He was already going to get in.
Yeah, we just had to buy a ticket.
Yeah. He pushed his roll. So pushing the mechanic of pushing your roll in Call of Cthulhu is like you have to justify what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
So like there's some things you can and can't push.
Yeah.
Pushing you to and it's up to the DM's discretion, of course. Like you got to say like your roll failed and it's like I want to push. It's like okay, how are you going to push it? And he's like, and then you're like, okay, so my character does this and like explains what you're trying to do with like maybe more gusto or something like that. So Rory somehow pushed his roll on interrogating the guy.
I think so. We'd already paid for the tickets. I think at that point, Rory was trying to figure out what were they doing at the museum.
Yeah.
Without going inside and investigating,
Yeah.
he was just saying, "What are you doing here? What's going on? What's all the funny business about?"
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And then so he interrogated him, and then he tried to intimidate him by threatening him
Yeah.
or something.
And I'm like, okay, so you can't get in now. Right?
Nah,
I'm like,
nah.
old mate's gonna have to just threaten to call the police.
Yeah.
So I'm like, that's the only thing I could do. Right?
Yeah.
I'm thinking like,
That makes sense to the story.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you have to figure out how you're going to get us in the museum. Well, we have to now.
yeah.
So
And-
now Rory's got us kicked out of the museum and calling the police in a crowded pedestrian area.
yeah.
So we had to sneak around the back and we found a little lock that we tried to pick, and Churchy's lockpick skills were garbage.
He broke the lockpick, and then I think your character just kicked the door down.
Yeah, this is like a micro example of what happens when you're playing with Rory. We're like, how are we going to pick this lock? And you're like, trying to help Rory. You're like, well, you know, your character might have something like a makeup case. And he was like, nah, I left it back at the Dog and Gun.
Not even I'll go back and get it. It's just like,
Yeah.
nah, I forgot it.
Nah, I haven't got it. It's like it's like the anti-story.
Yeah. And I'm like, no, Rory, I'm pretty sure you've got a hairpin.
Yeah, it's back at the Rod and Gun.
Yeah. And then it was like, I think you guys had another lock to pick or something. And it was
Yeah.
like, I've only got one hairpin.
Yeah.
It's like, Rory, I'm pretty sure you've got, no, I've only got one.
We're trying to get him to just help.
He helped in his own way.
Yeah. And anyway, we failed at that. And so I tried to kick in the door and just managed to roll phenomenally. And I think I kicked the door.
I think you critted it. And yeah, that's right. You did. You rolled a crit, which is
Yeah.
like you roll two, like a D100.
Yeah.
And anything from like a 1 to a 5 is a crit, and a 95 to 100 is a critical fail. I think
way around?
you
1
No,
to
no.
5 critical fail.
you roll low is good.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think you rolled like a 3, or maybe you rolled a 1 or something like that. It was
Yeah.
insane. So like, yeah, you kicked the door off the hinges and it landed silently.
Yeah. So it was like you had muted the sound to a TV and watched someone kick in a door
Yeah.
violently.
Yeah. How else do you do it, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, and then you guys made your way in the back.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then at this point, yeah, like, this is all. I'm just ripping here. I'm just
Yeah.
what are we? How are we doing
Yeah.
this?
You were in it with us. You're like, I don't know. Let's figure this out, guys. What's in here? What's in the museum?
There's 2 doors.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we snuck in and we found the main room that had the exhibit, a bunch of glass cases with lots of weird looking jewelry and
Yep.
trinkets.
Yep.
And then one main pillar in the
In the center
middle,
of the room. Yep.
which you described in detail. And then Rory's like, can we see the tiara? I'm like, I bet if we turn around, Rory, and look at that big thing in the middle,
It's
probably
in
find
there.
it. And you're like, yep, you look around, it's in the center of the room in the cabinet. So then Rory just like opens the case and picks it up
Yeah.
and has a vision.
Yep. Yep. That was one of the otherworldly encounters that I created for that.
Nice.
I managed to make like 2, and like I'd just be like driving to work, whatever, and I'm like, oh, imagine if you have the perspective of being a picture. I'm like, right, be a picture. And I'm like, I'll expand on that later.
Yeah.
And I get home and I'm like, what does that mean?
Yeah, be a picture.
And I'm like,
What
oh,
does that
okay,
mean?
cool. So I start, writing that story and
Yeah.
one of these like really little, like tight, like mind shattering kind of like
Yep.
visions
Yep.
to go with the Cthulhu-esque theme.
Yeah, it was cool. Rory's character tripped out and we're just watching him like drool as he's holding his tiara.
Yeah.
And then I believe he snaps to and drops it
Yep.
and it shatters the glass, which we assume makes a loud noise and that we have to bail quickly.
Yep.
And I'm like, well, if these cabinets are open, I'm just going to yoink all of this stuff.
So you just start filling your pockets.
I fill my pockets with all kinds of trinkets.
Yep.
And I was like, that's somewhat unlike my character
Yeah.
because I was a military veteran
Yep.
who... What was my role now?
Archaeology.
Archaeology.
Yeah.
So in my head, I was so curious about the trinkets. I
Yep.
think was the vibe.
Someone who respects all this kind of stuff, you're like, just filling my
Yeah,
pockets.
it's like
here.
I need this. I make my own museum.
Yeah.
Blackjack and hookers. So yeah, it was cool. And then we bailed out of there, pockets loaded with stuff.
Yep.
We went back to old mate and we just showed him all these trinkets.
And he's just like, what have you done?
Yeah.
It's like, this is not at all what I asked for.
And we're like, I think you explicitly said for us to bring some stuff back. If
Nope.
we could.
Nope. Bring back information.
Yeah. Well, there you go. This one I like to call information, and this one I like to call necklace, and this one I like to call amulet. Yeah.
Yep.
So then he panicked a little bit, and we went up to his room for secret business. And then he mentioned Innsmouth, and that's
Yeah.
all we needed to know.
Yep. Innsmouth. Yeah. So, if you haven't, if you're not familiar with the Shadow over Innsmouth, it's a classic of the Lovecraft sort of stuff. Really sums up like what the mythos is all about.
Yeah.
So the town itself, once a prosperous town, has like almost like a curse upon the town. I won't go into too much detail, but the inhabitants start looking very strange.
Sure.
And the town just goes to ruin. So yeah, it was fun sending you guys there. That was the plan all along. I'm glad we could sort of take those couple of like detours in Newburyport before we got to Innsmouth.
Yeah.
Because by the time we were getting to Innsmouth, it was getting a little bit late.
Yeah, it was.
I think in the night,
like past 10:30 probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the bus ride there was was eventful.
Yeah.
Another classic Rory moment.
Yeah, that's it. Well, because what happened is like the bus driver was like kind of goofy looking, obviously from Innsmouth.
Yep.
And he didn't greet us at all, and he looked a bit weird. And Rory didn't like that he didn't greet us.
Yeah.
So Rory already hated this guy. It was like, he was rude. What a rude bus driver.
Classic Rory.
Yeah. He's like, I'm not even going to thank him.
Yeah.
Fair enough. And then as we're driving the bus, we watch outside we're driving past a field and there's a crazy man in the field yelling at pigeons, which is probably normal in these parts.
Yeah.
But then he gets sucked into a portal, which is something our characters have never seen before. So we were like, "Oi, stop the bus!"
Yeah.
Like we needed to see that, and he didn't respond. And so Rory decided, "I'll stop the bus," and he king hit the driver and rolled a crit.
He rolled a crit. That was one of the funniest moments. I'm just sitting there and Rory's like, "I king hit him." I'm like, "Are you sure?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
I'm like, I guess we're doing combat.
Yeah.
Like, I'm glad though, because I'm like, I wasn't really sure how combat was going to come into it. So I was like, cool, we're forcing it. Awesome. Rolls a stupid crit. I'm like, and I rolled hit on the other guy's dex. I rolled a roll for him and he failed.
Sure.
And I'm like, okay, cool. You've just knocked him out. And now the bus veers off the road.
And
now
crashes.
now we all make a constitution roll.
Yeah.
And some of you took damage. I think you buckled yourself in.
As
so
soon
you
as
were
Rory
sweet.
said, I want to king hit him.
Yeah.
I was like, I want my character to put a seatbelt on.
Yeah.
So that I know which way this is going.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, King hit, crashed the bus. Hours and hours out of town.
Yep.
And then you guys went and investigated the portal,
Yep.
which was nothing.
saw
I had
nothing.
no plans for that. I honestly did not expect you guys to force the bus to stop.
Yeah.
I was hoping that was just some weird thing you saw out the window.
Imagine that. I'd just be like, oh, that was a bit weird. A portal sucked up a person.
Yeah, but the old mate wasn't going to stop the bus.
No, yeah. Well, we'll make him. I had a gun.
Yeah.
Rory had his fists. Churchy had his desperation.
Engineering skill.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I just also like the fact too that the character Rory was playing was a small petite woman who
Yeah.
just king hit the bus
Yeah.
driver and knocked him out.
Yeah. What's cool though was Rory was a journalist and he was playing that aspect of his character really well because he was taking photos of all this important stuff.
Yep.
And if he had written down all the photos that he took,
Yep.
it would have told a bit of a story.
Yeah, yeah.
Which was cool because he took photos of like documents in old mate room at the Rod and Gun.
Yep.
He took photos of the tiara photo.
Yep.
He took photos of the museum. Yeah, he took photos of the pigeons. Just all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
And he was just constantly taking photos of cool stuff that we found.
Yep.
The doors and hallways. And like, I imagine somewhere on the beach or in Innsmouth is a pile of photos that tells a story.
Yep. Yep.
But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you guys had to basically walk to town.
Yeah.
You guys talked about walking back, and I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, okay, need to keep them on the road.
Well, we did walk back to where the guy got sucked up from the portal.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
we
yeah.
didn't see anything.
Yeah, but walking back to the Newburyport.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're 3 hours out from Innsmouth, or you're 12 hours out on foot
Yeah.
from Newburyport. And you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right. Guess we're walking that way then.
Yeah, going into it. So we snuck up there, and the town was dark and abandoned, basically. So we moved further into town till we could see lights, and we stumbled upon possibly the only inn
Yep.
ever.
Yep.
And the lady there was quite surprised to see us,
Yeah.
non-fish-looking people.
Yeah, yeah. She was normal, though.
She was normal.
She was normal.
Yeah.
She was an out-of-towner that sort of just worked in town.
Interesting. Yeah, so she travels in there of all places.
Yep.
Must be desperate. Church's kind of gal.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and then we discovered some spookiness in the building we were staying.
Yeah, some weird noises in the rooms adjacent, but
Yeah.
when you guys managed to... Oh, that's right, you picked the lock to get into there,
Yeah.
and the room was empty.
Yep.
Wasn't sure what I was doing with that. I was just trying to spook you guys.
Oh, yeah.
Had no
Fair
plans.
enough. Fair enough. Just trying to add the Cthulhu-esque
Yeah.
nature of the things.
Yep.
That town's cursed, so weird things would happen.
Yep.
And we didn't pay too much mind to it. We're like, oh, yeah, this is spooky. Let's get out of here.
Yeah. 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 And then, yeah, so then you guys sort of slept through the night, and then the next day you came across the old church.
And this is where it all went awry.
this is where it went.
And this was
real
also
fucking-
where we woke up and we saw Rory down on the street holding the tiara up to random people going,
Yeah.
what's this?
What is this?
What does it do?
What does it do?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. We woke up. We all went to the window. We looked down, and Rory's holding the tiara
Yeah.
from this town up in the air at people who are clearly scared of it and running away.
Yep.
Saying, what does it do?
Yep.
And we're like, oh no. So we just watched. And then the people got so spooked and they ran to an old church building, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so we saw Rory and we were like, we got to follow.
Yep.
This is about to get wild.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then he basically like opens the church and goes, what is this? He's very direct.
He is very direct.
The guy gave him a mission. He said, I need you to find out what this tiara is. He goes to the museum
Yeah.
person. Oi, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
Finally gets the tiara. He's like, what is this? Takes it to the town where it's from.
Yep. Into the church. Inside
Yeah.
the church, there was two men at the altar, and there was
Like cultists.
and there was a 5-pointed star in the middle of the floor. All the pews were all cleared out, and then they just started running at you,
Yeah.
and you shot one in the head
Without hesitation.
Without hesitation.
Yeah. I was like, he's coming at me.
Just killed one.
You saw it. You all saw it.
Yeah. And then I was playing the sanity mechanic, and then at that point, I think Rory had lost his 5 points of
Yeah.
sanity, so he had a bout of madness.
Yeah.
And it was
He ran away.
he ran away. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's just like nope, and just
Which
legged
sucks
it out of
because
there.
he started the fight.
Yeah.
He picked the fight. He took the tiara into the church and got the cultist angry, and then I had to kill one
Yep.
to defend him.
Yep.
And then he ran off with this crazy cultist chasing us.
Yep. And then by then the whole town had basically come out, and there was hundreds of people like chasing us or looking for you now.
Yeah.
So you guys are slinking around town and trying to find where to go, and you ended up heading down towards the old lighthouse down
Yep.
near the docks.
Yeah, it was cool. We were just trying to look for someone to hide, really. But then Rory wanted to check out the lighthouse. We're like, all right, well, let's go there. We might get a better vantage point of where to hide.
Yep.
So as we go there, Rory goes to open or was it Church's character goes to open the door, and he has a vision. Of his future, of the future.
Just an alternate
alternate timeline.
life. Yeah. Yep.
And then we're like, oh, where else do we go? And we were like, oh, let's yoink a boat. But when we were up at the lighthouse, we happened to see like a rock or something, just like with a bunch of like people on it.
The Devil's Reef.
Yeah, the Devil's Reef with some people on it, which is weird because it's just a rock.
Yeah,
You know, it's not like an island.
And there was no boats out there. And
I think it was at that point too, like when I just before then, when I touched the door as well, I hit my like sanity.
yes, you did
yeah.
too.
And then, because like the vision was like just this beautiful alternate life that was just like heaven.
Yeah.
And then it all got sucked away and it was just like blackness. And then I went insane for a second there. And then I think I got a phobia.
You had a
of doors.
phobia. Yep.
That's right.
I'm thinking like, what kind of phobia? I'm like, doors.
Yeah.
You're now scared of doors.
Can't open doors anymore.
Yeah.
So we found a boat and we were like, well, let's go check out the people on the reef and go find out what's going on there. Because maybe they're like prisoners of the town or whatever.
Yeah.
They're being held captive on this reef and brought food and whatever.
Yep.
That's our headcanon. And so we go over there and these little fuckers, they jump in the water, start swimming after us like little fish people.
Yep. They were fish people.
Yeah.
They were deep ones.
Yeah, they were very deep. And so we were like, all right, then, so turn the boat around, start sailing the other way, or rowing the other way. But alas, it was not to be. And they thrashed our boat to pieces
Yep.
and snatched us underwater one by one.
Yep.
And
It's because Rory broke the tiara.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Because he had the tiara and he was like, oh, I'm going to break it. It's like it's the source of their power.
Yeah. That just made him even more angry.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
when they started thrashing us. Yeah, because until then they were just circling.
Yeah. I think if he didn't break it, they wouldn't have killed you.
Yeah, like if he threw it over the edge or whatever.
That was the give it back,
Yeah,
right? It
yeah.
was maybe I didn't tie the tiara to like the ocean enough, but like if you guys had just like thrown it overboard, would have been like the end.
Yeah,
Everyone
so-
lives happily ever after.
Even though we killed the cultists.
Yeah.
So Innsmouth's items that went to the museum. Who sent them to the museum?
So Innsmouth, the esoteric order of Dagon,
Yeah,
which was the cult, the church,
yeah,
were like slowly moving out, out from Innsmouth.
yeah.
So the Newburyport was the next town.
Sure. Right.
So that's where I go. I go against the law.
Oh, that's fine.
It's not canon.
It's your story.
But like Innsmouth, the town itself, for the longest time has all been like all of these people, worshipping like the deep ones and that.
Yeah.
And the fish people are like children
Sure.
of the deep ones, and then they're like the town's sort of run down. It's
Yeah.
ruined. Let's move sort of to Newburyport
Sure.
as an like expansion kind of thing
Sure. Sure.
to get more people because no one goes to Innsmouth anymore.
Right.
So there's no like fresh blood.
Yeah.
So that was the expansion kind of element there.
And what about the tiara? So did they move the tiara out, but then they wanted it back?
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just the tiara, like I guess it was kind of like taken from the deep ones.
Yeah. Sure.
By like the cultists, but they're kind of like. So in the actual story, right, the deep ones are like promised, people, like fresh blood to like
cool.
breed with and all kinds of funky shit, right?
That's cool. I
But
like
in the
that.
actual story, everyone stops giving them people.
Right.
So then they sort of like get angry about it.
Yeah. Well, this is pretty similar, I guess. If they were like, if the esoteric order is like, well, yeah, we will get you people, but we want to expand, and the way to do that, we need to move your relics and stuff into other towns and slowly corrupt people. And,
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're like, no, that's stuff supposed to stay here.
Yeah.
So really, we were the good guys up until when Rory broke the thing.
Yeah.
Deep ones would have been like, you brought it back.
Yep.
Would have been heroes. Cthulhu heroes. But alas, it wasn't to be.
You broke it.
So, and it made sense to end with a bout of chaos from Rory.
Yep.
Because that had set in motion all the things that transpired, essentially.
Yeah. There was some stuff that we didn't really get to touch on. Like I wanted to have a bit of a speakeasy in the old Dog and Gun,
Sure.
like a sort of. So it's set during the Prohibition,
Yeah.
sort of that period. So like, alcohol's illegal.
Yeah.
But I wanted to have like the keg wall that I sort of mentioned there,
Yeah.
which was more now for aesthetic purposes,
Yeah.
was going to be like a secret door.
Ah, sure.
I think you guys failed to spot hidden roll for that or something like that, and then it just never came back again. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, like that arc is
Yeah.
gone.
Can't put a line through that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think we asked about. Oh, Rory was like, "I want to drink from the thing," and
Yeah.
they were like, "No, this is cosmetic now."
Yeah.
And then he must have failed to spot hidden or
Yeah.
failed his intimidation or whatever he tried
I
to
think
do.
that was maybe
Yeah.
he tried to intimidate old Penny working behind the bar.
Yeah. Or flirt with Penny.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. Hey, we also got there was a bunch of other little things that happened. Like we obtained some followers, some other people.
Oh,
Penny came with us, and
yeah, and Arthur.
and Arthur, who we later got fired from the museum because we stole the possessions under his watch.
Yep.
And then he was out of a job, and we're like, "We'll pay you to come with us on this adventure."
Yep.
And then we were later going to reveal that we were the ones that stole the thing that made him lose his job, but not till he was in Innsmouth.
I think he might have had an
I
idea.
think he had an inkling. Yeah.
Yep. I love how you just like kidnapped these two NPCs.
Yeah. We brought him on the bus and everything.
Yeah. They survived the crash.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Very cool. It was
was
a lot of
wild.
fun. I like the one-shot system as well.
Mm.
Like each month, there's so many good RPGs out there. We were talking about Rip Crypt,
Yep.
which is over there in the corner with the green light shining on it.
Yep.
And Churchy's making one. Just been
Yeah.
dabbling in making one, and Rory wants to run one. So it's
Yep.
like a cool opportunity for a person to run a different RPG one shot every month.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, it's cool. It's a lot of fun.
Yep. I'm looking forward to the next one. It's gonna be good.
But we need to make a pact, the three of us, that when it's Rory's turn to run an RPG, we need to be our most chaotic
Oh, we need to
selves.
channel Rory.
Yeah.
Yep.
I love it.
Give him a taste of his own medicine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that.
That'd be great. That'd be so much fun.
It was a lot of fun. Thank you for taking us to the world of Cthulhu.
You're most welcome. I look forward to running another one in the future when my turn rolls around again.
Yeah.
Can't wait for that.
If you're listening and you like RPGs, we have an RPG channel in the Discord.
Yeah,
which
we
is
do.
Cool. We chat
Yep.
about all things RPG in there,
Yep.
believe it or not.
Yeah.
There are people running RPGs right now.
Yep.
We've ran we've been in RPGs that are ran in the Discord.
Mm-hmm.
So there's all kinds of RPG stuff happening in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So jump on in, have a little sus. Let us know. Have you played this before? Let us know in the comments. Call of Cthulhu or any variations or anything set in the Cthulhu world.
Call of Cthulhu has actually been around since like the 80s.
Yeah, right.
But this is like, I think this is 7th edition.
Yeah, okay.
6th edition or something like that.
Sure.
It's been revised a bunch.
Awesome.
I think, and then this one I think changed, like the mechanics has changed a lot. So the earlier ones I don't think much changed,
Sure.
and all of a sudden this changed a lot.
Yeah, great.
But it was easy. It was easy to run. It was fun. I just like, I didn't really follow the rules too much, but like you don't need to, right?
Nah,
Like
rules are just guidelines to help you push the story if you need to.
Yeah.
But if
yeah.
you're pushing the story without them,
Yep.
whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, it's cool.
That was fun. Speaking of RPGs, before
Yeah.
before we wrap it up,
Yeah.
massive shout out to Keenan from Rip Crypt who sent us a early copy,
You're a legend, Keenan.
absolute legend, of Rip Crypt itself back there. So I have to give that a go at some point.
Yeah, that's where we did an episode on it under Unfamiliar War Games.
Yep.
Not long ago, last week.
Yeah,
before.
it's 2-3 weeks ago.
Recently.
Yep.
So go check that out. We talk more about it. It's a dungeon sprinter RPG
Yep.
where you delve into the deep depths of. I couldn't think of any more D's. Normally, I'm at no shortage of D's.
These are always on your mind.
Yeah, I can always get them out of my mouth, but this
Yeah.
time I just couldn't.
Stuck in there.
Stuck in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's a dungeon delving, diving, dip, duck, dodge.
It's enough D for you.
Yeah, said no one ever. Thank you to our patrons.
Massive shout out to these legends for $2 a month to get early access to videos like this and other fun stuff that we do on the channel.
Yeah, we do. We have some like lots of little behind the scenes kind of stuff.
Yeah, we got the legendary MJ, Moose, Fatboy, and Tom, and the real one, that's you, Numa. The goats, Burnsy, File Dinosaur, Hockers, Gridlock, Journeyman, Matty, Matt.
We got the OGs, Darren M, Souls, Are You Warrior, Churchy, Rad, Ollie, Penny, Don Juan, Don, Pure Blind, Jackson V, Mini, Walmart, Analog Line, Tim Smith, Crispy Bacon, and Big Roach. Congratulations, Burnsy, on Little Burnsy.
Yeah.
A new addition to the family. That's
Well done.
incredible.
Yep.
You're probably too busy doing dad life that you're not even going to hear this. But
Nah, you'll hear it sooner or later when he catches up.
yeah, one day when you're up at 2 a.m.
Yep.
doing a feed, popping your headphones in, you'll hear this and just know we love you, and
Yep.
we'll give you back your miniatures one day.
Yeah, he messaged me the other day, and I'm like, oh, he's going to ask for the BattleTech stuff. I'm going to beat him to it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, I've been meaning to get those back to you, dude. And he's like, I haven't got time.
Yeah, one day. They're ours now. We're
Yeah.
forcing you to come here and grab them.
Yep. And a massive shout out to Chris P as well, who sent me some 5th edition 40k books. So they're on the shelf behind us. Got a 5th edition rule book and a couple of codexes.
Oh,
and
heck
also
yeah.
Halo Fleet Battles rule book.
Oh, my goodness.
He sent those to our PO box. So that massive thank you to Chris P.
That's PO Box 43 Lara 3212.
You memorized it, dude.
Yeah, I've written it a lot.
Well done.
Now on anything I send, I put it so people don't know my actual address.
That's good. You don't dox yourself.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks, Chris. That's legendary. Very excited to. How are we going to use the Halo fleets on? We're going to have to print some Halo
3D
fleets.
print some ships. Yeah.
Done. Oh,
Yep.
man, so cool. Covenant ships versus. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Yep.
All right, that's what we're doing.
See you guys next week.
Toodles.
Hooroo.
Woo! Big up to the boys, Fox and Shane. Set your minds free, no locks and chains. Do what you love, roll the dice. 50-50, we cold as ice. One thing